Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of Let's Play Planet Coaster featuring Bay Area Blast. In this episode, we're going to be going over the building of the inverted coaster that I mentioned in my last video, and just going over a few of the scenery objects that I added to the whole landscape of it. This time I instead worked on both the ride and the landscape together, just because I had a little bit extra time. Plus I just had a little bit more inspiration for doing that. I do have an announcement for today, and it is kind of a little, I think, sadder for some of you who I guess enjoy this series, but I was just thinking over the course of the last few days of the last episode I made, and I've come to the conclusion that for now I think this may be the last episode for Bay Area Blast for a little while, just because, I don't know, I've been really wanting to just work on roller coasters and stuff lately, and I feel as though sometimes working on this park kind of prevents me from doing so. I don't know, I've just been really wanting to just focus on single projects, so I will definitely come back to making this ride, or I'm sorry, this park, but I think for now when I go back to doing what I used to do most, which was just making the single ride production videos, and then at some point in the future, I will definitely come back to working on Bay Area Blast. But I have been playing with the idea of considering working on videos where I actually create my single rides. Kind of like what I'm doing in this video, where instead of working on just a park, I'll be working on just a single ride and maybe doing a narration for that, but I'm not entirely sure yet. We'll have to see. On a different note though, this second gen inverted roller coaster that I made called Prowler is probably one of my more interesting builds. It isn't the longest roller coaster I've ever made, but I thought it came out really well, considering that pretty much all the inversions aside from the loop were custom inversions. Now I did take out the custom Zero-G roll, and I don't know, it didn't seem to flow as well as I'd like. I was trying really hard to get it to I guess smooth out as much as I could. I at one point did make a really good custom Zero-G roll, but on a different map. I have yet to remember exactly how I made it, but I did make it with angle snapping. Unfortunately, for the sake of this episode, I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't figure out which angle snaps I used to get it to be as smooth as it was. So in the end, I just kind of took out the Zero-G roll and just instead put like a banked like, I don't know, hill kind of. I don't really know what else to call it, but I don't know, it was just a little less exciting, but unfortunately you kind of have to do what you gotta do and to make your roller coasters a little bit smoother. But you know, it still turned out pretty well. This interesting inversion I made, this huge bank turn that kind of rolls over into another bank down left. I don't know, I thought that was really interesting. I don't necessarily know 100% if they exist, but I want to say on second gen inverted coasters by B&M, I think it's a logical choice. I think they can actually turn that way. I know like earlier generation B&M coasters don't do that, but I think that custom inversion actually is somewhat likely to be a real inversion on a newer gen inverted coaster. But I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was cool. It actually came out pretty smooth too. I don't have a POV in normal speed for this video, but I do. I guess I'll tell you this now, because I'm not planning to work on any more Bay Area Blast episodes for a while. I have a special video which features all the POVs as a showcase for Bay Area Blast. And I'll be releasing that somewhat soon after this video. I know that some of you guys in the past have been asking for POVs on these roller coasters, and don't worry, I've definitely been listening, so I wanted to make sure that at least, if anything, I'll leave you with those POVs to kind of, you know, give you a small pause for the end of this series for a little while. But I also made the videos in 30 FPS, and I'll explain to you why I'm doing that. So I'm testing out a new idea that I have for my videos, and for now I want to see, because I can render all my videos in 60 FPS no problem, but I've always felt like the videos don't look as, I don't know, cinematic as they could. So what I've been trying to do is render my videos in 1080p at 30 FPS with RSMB, which is basically a injected motion blur that you can do on Sony Vegas. And I've been trying to do that with my videos, and at least in my opinion, obviously they're not quite as silky smooth at 60 FPS, but I think that when I have them in 30 FPS with that motion blur, it can still have a very smooth look to it, and at least in my opinion, I think that if I want my videos to kind of stand out from other people's videos, I have to find some sort of core competency that really makes my videos stand out. And I think that having that motion blur will make it look pretty cool actually. It doesn't quite look like Planet Coaster anymore when you see it. And I don't know, I think it just looks better overall than a general Planet Coaster video does. I know Planet Coaster tends to be a little bit more on the colorful, bright, cartoony side. Not to say that it is super cartoony, although I guess the peeps would look cartoony. But I think the idea, though, with adding the motion blur is that it kind of gives it more of an authentic look. It looks kind of more like a No Limits coaster video than it does a Planet Coaster video. And at least in my opinion, I think No Limits coasters are obviously just the most realistic looking ones because, well, let's be honest, Planet Coaster still has not fixed their node smoothing system, so custom inversions and just the smoothing in general for their coasters are just not as smooth as they should be, I think, in comparison to like real life or just even No Limits creations. So, but anyways, the main point I'm trying to get at is that I wanted to make sure that my videos looked a little bit more realistic, and I've always been about that whole realistic look, so by doing this motion blur, I think it personally looks more realistic. Anyways, I know I haven't really talked too much about the video, but here I'm trying to do the scenery for Prowler, and I don't know, I started using kind of more of those large oak style trees just because I thought, well, it kind of took up a little bit more space per unit, so I was like, I'll just use the ones that like create a larger foliage space with a lot less pieces. I don't know if that necessarily will help the performance instead of using a bunch of smaller trees, but I don't know, I just found in general that it looked better having those bigger trees instead. And just like the other idea in general is that I did call this roller coaster Prowler, so the idea is that you're a predator kind of within the tree line area, right? So I wanted to make sure that the trees were at least relatively dense so that it kind of covers up the ride itself. I've always felt like when rides kind of cover themselves up and you can't see it, I think that kind of gives it more of an intimidation factor than anything else. So I tried to kind of go with that idea for this roller coaster. One thing that I didn't actually get to work on for this particular roller coaster was the station, and I think in the future I'll probably come back to it and work on it, but I honestly didn't really have too much inspiration to create an actual station for it, so I kind of felt like I could just leave it for another episode, or, you know, I don't know, whenever I have a chance to actually make something that I have an idea for. So assuming I have an idea at some point in the future, I might just make another video for it, but we'll have to see though. Anyways, I'd just like to stop and thank you guys for watching these videos for Let's Play Planet Coaster featuring Barry Bless, and I promise you in the future that at some point I will definitely come back to making these videos for this park, ideally with my brother, but that'll be a whole nother story that I'll tell you guys about later. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I hope you guys enjoy my future content. So stay tuned guys, and stay fresh. See you guys.